Hirakant, it was a pleasure to hear you today. Toastmasters, tonight, Hirakant really shined, kind of like my shoes. Where he shined was in his use of descriptive words. There were so many things that you said that brought us into the story. Last benchers, like you, Brett, Brad, Brent, sweaty palms. You talked about, you created fear as a personage in your story. You used vivid words in your description. That brought us into the moment and helped us understand your experience being part of Toastmasters. One thing I would do to make your speech even more bright and shiny is when you talked about, you have a very confident stage presence. It's very confident. When you said, I had so much fun, you might try something like, I had so much fun, to go a little deeper in your use of physical gestures to emphasize your point so that we're all feeling what you felt. We felt it when you said you were devastated. The other thing I would suggest as a Toastmaster would be, and that I've tried before and it's worked in the past for me, is to connect the beginning of your speech to the very end. You had a really amazing, he had a very amazing opening, right? Fear or casket. Pretty stark choice, right? Very stark choice. And what I might have done is at the end, you used the phrase, Toastmasters helped me to come alive. So the next step I might have said at that point is, fellow Toastmasters, tonight, because of Toastmasters, I can tell you that I would much rather be up front than in the casket. That might have been an additional tool you could have used in that space. And so finally, just to sum it up, it was a beautiful, shiny speech. We could see the ways that you brought a really colorful use of language. The only things I might add to make it even more shiny is use physical gestures a little more to emphasize your point, and you know, tie in the connection between the beginning and the end to deepen and strengthen your speech. So thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Hirakant, something tells me you are a very organized, methodical, and analytical thinker, because that's exactly what this speech was. It was extremely well organized, and it was extremely genuine. I really felt like you were speaking from the heart. You really knew your audience. You had a lot of laughs. You had questions back and forth where people responded, and you opened with a very funny and relatable analogy comparing public speaking to going to a funeral. I think you compared it to going to your own funeral. That's pretty bad, right? But we all laugh because we can all relate. So you really knew your audience, and we all knew what it felt like to want to leave the room when table topics starts. I thought you also had excellent eye contact. I thought you were very steady. I thought you had good use of pauses. And again, very genuine. Room for improvement. I think part of being very analytical, methodical, is that sometimes you can come across just a little bit monotone. Now, you did have a few places in this speech where you got excited. You talked about being scared, and then you said, and then I made a change. Like you were excited. So I felt that. But that was about the only one for me. So I really think you could play around with your vocal variety and your volume. Some of the things I have here are when you were talking about how nervous you used to get at table topics and you were trembling, maybe you're trembling. Or when you got choked up, maybe you touch here and get a little lower. So we can really feel the nervousness that you're feeling. I also thought you could work on gestures. We were a little here. I don't know if anyone else noticed that. It was a lot of here and here. And I thought you had opportunities, again, the liberating, the trembling, the confidence boost. I think you said confidence boost 2 or 3 times. That was a repetitive theme in your speech. Maybe make us feel the confidence that you were feeling because of Toastmasters. You also had a funny moment when you talked about hiding during table topics, and you kind of did one of these, but maybe it's more here, or I would run out of the room. So just to add some variety to your gestures and your body language. Overall, I thought you did a great job, and I really enjoyed your speech.
Good evening, everybody. Hero, thank you so much for being here. I know, I can't say it. Not even because I speak another language, I can't say it. So you're hero, like superhero. Why did you join Toastmasters? I mean, what took you so long, really? I want to start with your opening. You started your speech with statistic, and you combined that with humor, which was really good and very catchy for the audience. Everybody kind of went silent when you started saying well, do you know that the fear of public speaking is has a higher number, it's higher than your fear of death. And then you started to tell your story about your journey on your life and how this fear was controlling you and was holding you back. Your speech was very well structured. It had a really good intro, a well-developed body, and an awesome conclusion. You brought us back in. I felt that it needed more vocal variety and more, because there were moments where you could have done like when you had your aha moment of oh, I discovered I'm a good listener. You could have added more to that. This is something I learned about myself while being in Toastmasters, you know? Your hand gestures were very controlled, which is good because we don't want people rapping or ninjaing or, you know? But they were too controlled. To the point that you were doing the minister thing or just standing here. Also, you could have used a little bit more of the room. You focus mainly here and then you stop here. And then, although you kept eye contact with all of everybody, you tried to look at everybody, you never once came over here. So that's something you could have improved on. You had an excellent use of your pauses. It was the right cadence for the story you were telling. Your ability to tell a story was great. You had very descriptive language, when you were talking about the first times you had your presentation at work. You had a dry throat, sweaty palm, weak knees, and you felt completely flustered in the end. That was really good. You also had a really good order of events. It was not jumping around, which I think it's a really good skill when you're telling a story. To challenge yourself, I would say just try to use the room a little more. Get closer to your audience and acknowledge them. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and especially you, hero. You're my hero, actually, because you told a story that is just so amazing, and I think all of us have had some piece of that story in the course of our experience here. But I need to begin by telling you that even though the 5 of us are trying to evaluate you from the bottom of our heart, it's just basically our opinion. We could be wrong, although we seldom are. Today I'm going to keep it simple and put it in a different way maybe than you've heard before, and that is to basically tell you what I saw, what I heard, and what I felt, and what I think you might be able to improve on. What I saw was a confident person, poised, well-dressed, making good use of the space, easy movements. There was an air about you, or there still is, of strength and conviction. These are the things that I saw. What I heard was a very good speech, to tell you the truth. You had a very firm, strong beginning where you talked about the common fear that we have in public speaking and how that's highly rated at just a little bit above or below death. I heard also relatively good variation in the volume of your speech. And you drew us in sometimes when you were a little softer. You had points that you wanted to make that you were stronger on. You have a good vocal range, good vocal variety. I heard, once again, a speech that kind of brought people into your life. I heard something from your own personal experience, which is always a strength in giving a speech. You were talking about how difficult it was for you that very first time, and what I heard was detail. I heard detail. I heard you talking about your mouth was dry and your hands were sweaty and all of the things that you were personally experienced, which once again created a picture in our minds for where you were coming from in that particular speech. I felt sincerity. I felt that you just didn't make up this story so that you could win the speech contest. There was some legitimacy from the beginning to the end of your speech. There was sincerity, there was purpose for where you were going, what you wanted to accomplish. Thank you. And then what I felt. Did I get to felt already? Yeah. Boy, I'm moving pretty fast. Room for improvement. All of us come to Toastmasters with the hope that some nice, gentle soul is going to make us feel good, but still help us move in a more positive direction. Your gestures are mostly limited to movements from the waist up with your hands, palms up. But there are other things that you could do that could possibly be more inclusive and more involving. I sincerely enjoy what you presented. I think you're a wonderful speaker. You have a great future in front of you. Just a few little things that could make it better, but the bottom line is you're going to be a winner. So thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Hirakant, for being here today as our test speaker. I appreciate your topic. Why do we all join Toastmaster? Definitely number one, fear of speaking. So what do I see today? I see a well-dressed Toastmaster here today, standing upon us. He picked a topic that relatable to us, and we at one point or another, we are fear of that public speaking. The way I will evaluate you, I'm going to use the technique of what do I see you as a Toastmaster? What do I hear from you? Did you use voice variation? He did. He be able to use the eye contact from here to the back. He used the voice volume, voice variation to project his voice for us to hear. He made me feel connected to his topic of being fear of public speaking. Your strength is your humor. If I close my eye, I would not know what country you came from. Because being an Asian or being a non-speaking, non-English speaking, you use the voice, your volume and your voice variation very well, and your pace. So make us be able to listen to you in an easy manner. Because I myself have accent also, so if I speak too fast, you might not be able to understand me. You make me feel connected to you because of the topic you picked. And thank you for sharing us today of how that you have that fear. The room to improve for your speaking ability today is you limit yourself to this circle. You have only a few hand gesture. You move a few times, and you go back to this again. So therefore, there is an opportunity for you. You can do more hand gesture. You can also, toward the end, can challenge the audience. Why did you join Toastmaster? So by using this hand gesture, also can extend yourself. Why do you join Toastmaster? For me. So another room of opportunity was you can use more voice variation. When you feel fear, you can dim your voice. I was small, I was that stupid, I was not smart. Toward the end, you want to lift us up. And you did. same thing. There's an opportunity for you to use that technique. Now I am a Toastmaster. I'm no longer small. Congratulations.